Sticking with Sony for a while, it looks like that they have patented a new gaming interface. That sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Ryan, what is that?
So a Japanese tech site called Tech On has found that there's a patent from Sony Computer Entertainment for new game interfacing.
So it sounds like there's like some kind of like rod controller or some kind of rod that you will hold that the iToy camera or some kind of camera will be able to see, and it'll detect when you actually move it in 3D space. So if you're lunging it at the camera or pulling it back or something like that, like it'll be able to detect all that. So like some kind of crazy motion sensing technology that doesn't necessarily use a motion sensor in what you're holding in your hand, but instead is using the power of the iToy, which, as we saw back at E3, they're using it to kind of, for card recognition for their collectible card little tech demo game that they're working on. So it seems like that they're kind of pushing the boundaries on this camera technology and kind of hoping that will lead them down some interesting roads.
And at the same time, before anyone starts jumping on the whole, they're ripping off the Wii controller bandwagon. Tech On, the Japanese website that reported this in the first place, indicates that the patent supposedly leverages the PlayStation 3's cell processor, and apparently it's all optimized for image recognition. So the whole idea is you can't patent something that someone else has already patented, so presumably this is somehow sufficiently different from whatever Nintendo's got going on.
Yeah, and the article also says that Microsoft had a similar patent, but that actually required two cameras to kind of do, all the spatial stuff, the X, Y, and Z. So they'll be able to do it with one camera with this, and that sounds like a much more user-friendly way to go about doing it. But, it's like, while it's definitely a Sony patent, it definitely seems like they're kind of like trying to go about doing the same thing control-wise. It's like you'll be able to hold this item and move it around. I mean, and who knows if it'll ever actually work or come out or anything.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, and I guess that's really the key is that all three of these guys are at least like preparing for the possibility that this is going to be a big deal. But it's interesting that they're all kind of working on this, whereas it's not really a proven deal yet. I mean, people are definitely excited about the Wii, and I think it seemed like people generally liked it a lot at E3, but there's a very big difference between playing it for a half hour at E3 and having the system for 6 months and deciding, whether you really
there's a pretty big
stuff.
difference between having this control scheme as the primary method of control and a secondary additional
That's
one.
true too.
So
this just seems like Sony covering its bases. It seems like it is... Sony recognizes that there is a lot of positive buzz about the Wii and about, kind of how unique its control interface is, and for them to have something at least similar, comparable, in the wings, if they want to, bring that out, if it turns out that, this is like the next big thing in gaming, then they could say, hey, check it out, you can do it with the PS3 too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sony's been doing a lot of like kind of pioneering stuff with iToy technology.
That's true.
I see
That's
this
true.
as more of an extension of that. You saw back at E3 they had the colored cups that they were using to kind of pick up water on screen with, and so they've clearly been thinking about like image recognition as a means of gameplay control. And we had that iToy game Anti-Grav come out that Harmonix did, where you're actually like standing there on screen with your arms outstretched and kind of balancing and stuff like that. So
on further consideration, it is really unfair to make a lot of the Wii comparisons here, because you're right, Sony has been doing something like this for a long time.
I think Sony these days is often kind of getting bashed as being the guy that's like not doing anything new at all and just kind of just being really arrogant and cribbing off what the other guys are doing. But it's true that the iToy seems like it's just been a huge success for them, and it was really pretty remarkable when it came out. I mean, the whole idea that like here are these games that you could get your grandma to start playing or whatever, and I think they actually made good on that with the iToy. Mm-hmm. So they're definitely thinking about all this stuff. I don't think they're I think for all three of the big players, they're trying to figure out what it's going to take to get more people playing their games for their next system, and I think they all know that releasing controllers with more buttons on them isn't going to be the trick.